welcome back to the Coding Hub. In today's video we will look at how you can estimate your Azure cloud costs before you'd even set up anything in Azure. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to our channel to see more videos like this. We do weekly videos on technology, programming, and everything around those topics. And you can also find us on thecodinghub.com and also on Instagram and Twitter. So please go check us out. Okay, and for today's video we will look at the Azure Pricing Calculator. So the Azure Pricing Calculator is a website that Microsoft has put up that allows you to estimate the different costs for the different products that they have within Azure. And this helps you to estimate your cloud infrastructure costs before you'd even set anything up in Azure itself. And the reason why this is useful is there's a lot of misconception from some companies that are used to the traditional model of just pay for a server or virtual machine and that cost is set to $50 a month or whatever, and they think that because cloud computing is not set, as in you don't know how much you'll be paying, they think that there's a potential for their costs to spiral out of control in a way that they will end up paying a lot of money if they're not careful, which is very true. That is something that you can absolutely end up in such a position because you can, if you don't set up things correctly and if you pay for things that you don't need, you could end up paying more money if your setup is incorrect, or if you just simply are asking for more resources than you need. And that's where the beauty of cloud computing comes in. You only have to pay for what you use, and you can scale up and scale down depending on what infrastructure you need and how much power you need. And that could be different at different times of day, which is great. And this is where the calculator comes in. It helps some of those maybe newer companies or users who aren't used to cloud computing, and it helps them to give them a very good idea of how much they were paying a month depending on their usage. So we'll have a look at the Azure calculator. These types of calculators exist for Google Cloud, the Google Cloud and AWS. So if you just type in Google Cloud Pricing Calculator or AWS Pricing Calculator, you'll be able to get to those, and they're very similar UI and similar setup. But for this particular video, we'll have a look at the Azure one only. And if you want to get to it, there'll be a link down below in the description that you can take a look at to get here. So the Azure Pricing Calculator. So once you navigate to the correct link from the description, you'll be taken to this page where you'll have a product tab, example scenarios, where you can see some sort of explanations from Microsoft on how different things might be set up and what you might need to provision. You can save some estimates for future use and some FAQs. So if we go to the product page, you can see on the left hand side here you have a lot of different tabs for all the different products that Microsoft offers, or almost all of them. I'm not sure if it does have every single one, but it's definitely got more in here than you might need. There's so many things in here, and you can add them and remove them. When you first navigate to this page, it will automatically add a virtual machine on its own. Just go ahead and delete that from your estimate section. So if you just go ahead and delete that, and that way you will start afresh. So for now, I just want to demonstrate what you can do and what you can't do. So what we will do is we will add a app service. So this is just a small application service which runs a single application, and what we've done here is we're running it on Windows, so you can check Linux. So if we were to set Linux, you'll see how the price changes from $50 something to 13, so yeah, from $54 to $13, just by simply choosing a Linux operating system. And you can actually see the different prices in the different regions as well. So I'm guessing all the US ones are the same, but if we go to UK, for example, no, that's still the same. Let's see. Oh, there we go. So in the United Arab Emirates, you're actually paying more for a Linux server, and it might just be because the server costs in the UAE are higher than in some of these other locations. And as you can see here, Switzerland is very similar as well to AUE, and yeah, this is very useful because you can actually choose the region and see all the regions that Microsoft actually offers to put some of your app services in service. And the reason why that is good is there's certain legal requirements for it to keep certain data in particular countries. So if you have, for example, user data for users from Switzerland, you actually need to keep that data in Switzerland, I believe, and the EU has similar laws where personal identifiable data actually needs to be stored within Europe. So yeah, that's actually really good to know, and the region does actually make a difference on your pricing as well. And you can select your operating system and you can select a tier. Now, if you're not familiar with Microsoft tiers, there is a little help button here, and it gives you an idea of what the different types of tiers are. But for now, we're just going to do a basic tier, and you can see the different types of basic tiers. So a B1, you kind of get one core with 1.7 gigabytes of RAM and 10 gigabytes of storage, and then with a B2, you get 2 cores and 3.5 gigabytes. It basically doubles, and then you can see how that affects the price. And then here you actually tell it how many instances of this app service you're going to be running and for how long. So this is a monthly one, so you can say how many days, how many months, how many hours it's going to be running in that month. And again, this, if you don't know this, this is just an estimate. So if you have an existing website that you're going to be migrating to Azure, maybe you have an idea of how much usage your application will get based on the current load on your application at the moment. But if you're building a brand new application, use your best judgment. By default, it adds 730 hours for the month. So yeah. And then you can add an SSL certificate, and that you can see how that will affect your pricing, support, Microsoft service agreements, and stuff like that. So that's the app service. Now let's go ahead and just add an SQL database that our application will be connecting to. So if we scroll down, it adds our Azure SQL database here. So as you can see, you have a lot more options here, and that's just different configurations for Azure. So you can have an elastic pool, a single database, the storage tier, the purchasing model. So you've got vCores and DTUs. So DTUs are kind of the Microsoft way of giving an idea of how powerful the server is. vCores is way more expensive because you're actually getting actual cores, whereas DTU is not. You don't know how many CPU cores you will have. But then here you can choose the amount of V instances, or vCores, sorry, hardware type, provisioning, and the service tier. And again, you can choose some redundancy layers, how often you'll be using it, and how you want to pay for it. Do you want to reserve it for a year? So you can see here, average per month, 1,000. That's quite expensive actually, but that's because we've got 8 cores. I think if we do DTU, and then you can select a tier. So if we choose basic tier, so the cheapest you can actually get an SQL Server database is $5 a month, which is pretty awesome. This is kind of the cheapest, and then you can do a standard tier, and you've got the different options in the standard tier. I think this is an S1 is a very good starting point for a new production application, and you can see it's about $30 a month, again depending on your region and other selections. So yeah, And what you can carry on doing is you can carry on adding as many of these. So you've got your featured ones, which are the most common ones, and then you've got the specific ones. So if you're familiar with Azure, you know this is the area that you would go in Azure to actually create these. So you've got compute, you've got networking, you've got storage, web, mobile, AI, and lots of different options. And then once you're done, you can actually save this estimate just to give yourself an idea and actually keep this saved for future reference. And you can actually share it as well, so you can share these estimates with users if, for example, you're trying to give one of your clients a quote. So yeah, I thoroughly recommend using the Azure Pricing Calculator. And yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. That's it for now. And if you liked, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.